So this is John Levison for Tri247. We're here in Jersey. We've got Vicky Holland with us now. Now Vicky, I've interviewed you a number of times over the years. I've called you across the line at Commonwealth Games, at the World Series in Leeds, but I've never actually said Vicky Holland, World Champion. Are you getting used to your new title?
You know, actually just this last few days it's been said quite a few times, and it's got a really nice ring to it. I quite like it.
At the start of the year, for most people, 4th place at the Commonwealth Games would be considered a good result, but I'm guessing that you came away from there, from the Gold Coast that time, probably not too pleased. And then, if I remember rightly, did you have a spill at Abu Dhabi? So the very beginning of the season didn't actually start too fantastically. Could you have believed then exactly where you are now?
Yeah, not really. I had obviously all of last year really, I was out with injury, so that was really frustrating watching from the sidelines. And I started off the season actually with the World Cup in Cape Town, which I did win, and that was a really nice little indicator of where my form was coming to. I went off to Commonwealth Games, and yeah, you're right, it felt a bit flat of my my expectations, and probably more just the expectations I put on myself. I think I didn't necessarily do myself or the team who work with me justice on that day. I then, you know, went into the World Series, and actually every race just seemed to improve, and I couldn't really have imagined that I would end up in a title battle at the end of the series, but with just, I think, 34 points between us going into that final round, it was a real head-to-head.
What was actually going through your mind at the 5k point? Because as you say, you had this 34 points, which ultimately was actually irrelevant, whether it was 1 point or 10 points. Yeah. It didn't sort of make any difference. It was basically who beat who. That was it. You're starting the run, you're in a great position, you're probably thinking, I think I can do this, and then Katie pulls away, you're, you know, a good 10 or maybe more seconds behind at 5k. What enabled you to dig deep again and not give up at that point?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, at the start of the run I thought this is really good for me, and I felt like I'd been running well. I know that Katie hadn't outran me in any races at all this year, so I felt like that was a really strong position for me to be at the start of the run. But as soon as Katie caught me out of transition, I felt like the pace was so high, and for those first 2 laps I was running on my absolute limit, and when it got to about 3k in, I just realised I couldn't carry on with them anymore. So I had to let Ashley and Katie go, and I just thought to myself, if they're going to run the 10k at this pace, then good on them, they'll beat me, because I can't run this fast. But as it was, I took a bit of a breath, got myself together, let them get a little bit in front, and then after we got through the 5k marker, it became really obvious to me that they weren't stretching that gap anymore, and just step by step I sort of reeled them in over the next, I think, maybe 1500 metres, and I just felt stronger and stronger. I think that boost that you get from starting to see a gap come down, so much support out there as well. There was a huge amount of British athletes out there, age groupers. I also had some friends out there as well, so I was definitely getting a lot of support from our British elite team as well. Don't think I've ever heard our head coach be going quite so crazy for me on the course, and it felt like with every step I was getting stronger, I felt faster, I felt better, and there's nothing like running away from your rival for the world title to give you that extra bit of incentive.
We saw it then came down to the sprint finish. At that point, I guess you knew you've got the World Championship. Are you then really able to concentrate fully on that sprint finish? It must be slight conflicting emotions of, can I win the race, I'm World Champion, can I win the race, I'm World Champion? What's sort of going through your head then? It's
such a difficult one, and it's such a phrase that gets used all the time, but it really was a race within a race, and my first and foremost thought was that I wanted to win the world title. So that was what I was trying to achieve. I got through to halfway around the final lap on the run, and I knew that if I just carried on running I was going to win the world title. And at that point the sort of advice from our coaching team was, Vicky, start thinking about the race, you've got to think about winning this race. But it's such a hard thing to do, and I think in hindsight I probably made a slight tactical error on that second half of the last lap. I was on the front virtually the whole way. I probably just didn't really want to let up, just in case Katie had something left. You never want to kind of risk that. But I think I played it in the final stages, the last 400 metres, about as well as I could have done. I let Ashley take the lead, I sat on her shoulder, but when it came down to a sprint I just didn't have it in my legs, and maybe that was a cost of going hard to catch back up to the two of them up front. Maybe Ashley was just, you know, played it a bit safer, had better sprint on the day, had better legs, and I really did go for it, but with about 20-30 metres to go, I just realised I could not catch her, and at that point I think I allowed myself to go, you know what, it's okay.
So 12 months ago, you were here in Jersey, but you weren't racing. You were injured at the time, but you were doing some presenting and commentary.
Yeah.
Does it feel different to be back here? But this time, you've got all of the fantastic, the branded kit. You've got your race suit and everything, and you're going to be in that water just behind us. Just behind, I'm guessing probably several of your new boats that you will have purchased.
yes, they're all mine.
Now that you're world champion, obviously. But in this fantastic harbour behind us tomorrow afternoon. You're going to be racing. Are you looking forward to that?
You know, yeah, it is a bit different being back here this time. Last year I came out here excited to see what was going to happen. I hadn't been involved in any Super League stuff before. I'd seen a little bit of the Hamilton Island footage, but I didn't really know how it would unfold, how it would play out. And I was so impressed with it last year, and just so jealous actually of watching all the other athletes getting to just get stuck in and have fun. And it looked so painful, but all of them said so much pain but so much fun, and I just absolutely desperately wanted in. Had to wait a whole year for it, but here I am, and as you said, I've got my branded kit and I've got my race suit, and first time racing in a swimming costume for about 11 years or something. But yeah, I think it's going to be great, and I'm just really excited to have a go.
So it is a different format of racing to what you're generally used to, but are there some similarities in between? Here it's individual racing, but what you're increasingly doing more and more of now is the mixed relay format, and obviously we've seen that develop, and certainly from my eyes that the standards within the mixed relay have just grown exponentially this year. We're seeing a real understanding of tactics and teamwork together. So do you think in a way Super League is really going to be a great supporter of the mixed relay format that you are hopefully going to be racing in 2 years' time in Tokyo?
Yeah, definitely. I think this format does go hand in hand. It suits that mixed relay team format. It suits the athletes who excel over the mixed team relay, and I think that's something that I've got my eyes on. Those people who frequently put in kind of game-changing legs, they're the people I think who are going to probably do pretty well over these distances. The unknown is the mix-up of distances, or rather the mix-up of disciplines, where we switch things around and you go from run to bike to swim, or bike to swim to run. I don't think anyone really knows how anyone's going to fare over that. And
you've got to also remember when you get to transition,
which one you're doing, absolutely. And then on top of that, we've got the enduro on day 2, and that actually I'm looking forward to that the most. I think that's a format that I'm not sure I'll be good at, but I just think it sounds really fun. I think it's going to be so painful. Maybe it's more suited to the stronger athletes, maybe the athletes with a little bit more conditioning and endurance behind them. So I'm sort of hoping the enduro suits me, but hey, we'll see.
And how different has the last couple of weeks been for you? You'd finished the grand final, and up to now you've not been in a position where you finished the grand final and obviously not been a world champion or podium finisher, but now you're finishing it as world champion. I'm assuming that demands from media, TV and various people that you probably didn't even know about have sort of come out of the woodwork. So has that been an enjoyable process to look back on what you've achieved and share that with maybe a different set of people?
Yeah, there's definitely been a little bit more interest, shall we say, and a lot of people that maybe I haven't seen or spoken to in a long time just sending me little messages, which has always been really sweet and really nice. A lot of requests as well for things that maybe I can't actually fit in right now, so I've tried to do a bit of that. I've tried to do a bit of media stuff. I've tried to actually enjoy it with my friends and family. I've had a little bit of a party at home, and I went to see my family as well, and they all came round, and just to have a little bit of a celebration, a little bit of champagne, been drunk, which I think's okay at this point. And yeah, that's been really nice and really special to actually just take a little bit of time to absorb that. I think there'll be maybe a bit more media stuff that I get involved with straight after this race, but it's all been really fun, and it's a great part of doing so well, being world champion. Hey, if it means a bit more media interest, then that's all okay. Yeah,
well, I definitely think you've earned the champagne. Good luck at the weekend. Thank you for sharing your time with us here on Tri247. Much appreciated, and enjoy the hopefully the fun. I was going to add in the word pain. Weekend, and hopefully you're smiling through the lactic come Sunday evening.
We'll see. Yeah, thank you.